Okay. The fourth item in the names of Deputy Healy and Deputy McGrath to discuss the changes to municipal districts in Tipperary and the re-establishment of borough and town councils. Deputy Seamus Healy, please.
Thank you, Ciarán Comhairle. Minister, Clonmel is the largest town in Tipperary and it's the county town. It's a population of over 17,000 people, or 11% of the population of the county. Now, the last Fine Gael Labour government in 2011-2016 significantly damaged Clonmel. It abolished the Clonmel Borough Council, it closed the 50-bed St Michael's psychiatric unit at South Tipperary General Hospital, it closed the military barracks at Kickham Barracks, an establishment in Clonmel, a military establishment in Clonmel since 1650, lost 150 jobs and about 10 million of spend annually. Also transferred the headquarters of the Vocational Education Committee out of Clonmel. Now, Minister, your recent decisions regarding the municipal district of Clonmel and Cahir has made this matter absolutely worse. And far from restoring the Borough Council, it makes Clonmel the second smallest municipal district in the county. It reduces funding significantly to the town and it reduces staffing. And as the district manager told you, Minister, recently at a meeting in the town hall in Clonmel, a practical example of this was where the current scheme for the Centre of Town Enhancement Programme in O'Connell Street, Gladstone Street and Irishtown, that's proposed to be done over a 5-year period. It will now take 10 years to actually do that. And of course the decision you made, Minister, has also undermines local democracy further. And it removes Cahir, which is in the hinterland of Clonmel and has always been associated with Clonmel, also from the municipal district. So I'm asking you, Minister, to reverse that decision and to be fair to Clonmel and the area.
Deputy McGrath.
Forbearance. Minister, look, this is a smash and grab. We had an independent review, which we all accepted when they came back with their findings, and Tipperary County Council and others made their submission to it, and we accepted it. This is going back to the Tullamandering days, back at the Heavy Gang, back in the 1973-77 coalition. You paid the price for that. This is an outright attack on Clonmel Cahir. Clonmel, as Deputy Healy has said, our county town. It has been destroyed. As I said, we kept Cromwell out of it, and we couldn't keep Minister Hogan out of it when he destroyed our borough council that we had for centuries, and the pride that we had went with that, the borough council itself. But most of that, we had 15.1 million of a fund in those days. We have absolutely pennies now, crumbs now we get from the table in Nina, which is a secondary town, always was. I don't know against the people in Nina, but the county manager and his 3-man team, Mr McAvoy was our man, agreed to the amalgamation, took up roads, planning and finance to Nina and left Clonmel with precious little. Put Cahir in with Tipperary and Cashel is just a travesty and an injustice. There's not even a road, as I said, there's not even a hiking path over the Galtee Mountains to get from Skeenerinka or Burncut or Alleglen or indeed Clogheen to Tipperary town. You have to go into County Cork, into County Limit, get back to Tip, or else go back into Cahir and out to Banta. It's unjust, and who gives you the right? Minister Owen Murphy stood up here one day to say that the Boundary Commission didn't do its job right, so we're going to add to it. That is outright Fine Gael arrogance. Arrogance at the highest order. You think you can do what you like with the people, but the people will have the final say and they're waiting to get the long grass. So I say this is unworkable. The Tipperary district, they left the Tipperary name out of it when they're calling it, and you apologise for it. You said something about getting married. I wish you well in your marriage, with your new wife, and I wish you well in that, but this is disgraceful. Left the brand name of Tipperary. What kind of officials were they that would think of a name without putting the Tipperary name, just recognised all over the world, and he keep it out of it? I know you're Kilkenny, as was Deputy Hogan before you, Minister Hogan, big filthy enforcer, I like to call him, but this coming from you was outrageous. And we kept Cromwell out, as I said, and we can't keep your interference out of Clonmel and Cahir and destroying the area and forcing us into an area that's unworkable, too distant away, and loss of money to the area as well.
Thank you, Deputy. Remember the wedding, Minister, now in replying.
I will. Thank you. Thank you, Ciarán Comhairle. I want to thank the deputies for raising the issue. Changes to the local electoral areas may only be carried out following a completion of a review by an independent boundary committee established under Section 28 of the Local Government Act 1991. The Act states that the Minister must have regard to the report of a boundary committee before deciding on whether to make an order amending the local electoral areas. The terms of reference for a boundary committee are set by the Minister. A municipal district is an administrative subdivision of a local authority and is designated by ministerial order. and is therefore separate and distinct, although obviously linked to local electoral areas. Local authority members and the Association of Local Government had raised concerns in relation to a number of issues in respect of local electoral areas. Concern was raised in relation to the need to ensure that large urban centres were adequately represented. I established 2 independent local electoral area committees, Committee number 1 and number 2, in December of 2017, to review and make recommendations on local electoral areas. In response to the concerns raised, I specifically asked the committees to have regard to, among other things, the need to ensure adequate representation for large urban centres. The recommendations in the Local Electoral Area Boundary Committee reports in respect of electoral boundaries were accepted in full. And I'd asked Deputy McGrath was around during the era of the Tullymander, which he mentioned. The boundaries for electoral purposes were accepted in full in Tipperary and everywhere else. The issue of municipal district boundaries was not one that the committees were asked to adjudicate upon, but one of the committees chose to do so. And in spite of the fact that one of the distinct terms of reference was that each of the 5 former boroughs would have its own separate municipal district. I want to reiterate, though, that the Boundary Committee's reports in terms of local electoral area boundaries were accepted in full. And the statutory instruments I did sign on the 19th of December, I was married on the 21st, as Deputy McGrath pointed out. Thank you very much. The overall policy objectives, particularly in relation to large urban electoral areas with populations in excess of 15,000, were largely met, but were not in the case of several of the former boroughs. In consideration how best to configure the municipal districts in Tipperary, and in order to ensure that Clonmel is adequately represented, I designated a distinct municipal district entitled the Borough District of Clonmel. The local electoral areas of Cahir and Cashel Tipperary were aligned in a single municipal district, and I visited Clonmel and Tipperary town recently to discuss the municipal districts with local members. We will certainly, in the next week or so, be changing the name of the Cahir Cashel Tipperary Municipal District to include the name Tipperary. More generally, the case for the replacement of the out-of-date town authority regime with a new model of municipal governance under the Local Government Reform Act of 2014 was and remains very strong. Local government has been strengthened within counties, and inefficient administration and duplication between town and county authorities in relation to matters such as budgeting, planning, rating and charges have been dealt with. The fundamental lack or the democratic deficit almost that existed in the old system, where certain citizens got 2 votes and others got 1, has been removed. There is now full integration of local authority resources across each county and an elimination of duplication in both administrative and electoral terms. Citizens who live in large and growing population centres and rural areas who previously lacked any sub-county representative governance now have municipal districts representing and responding to their local needs, and I am satisfied with the operation of those arrangements.
Thank you, Minister. Deputy Healy.
The situation is absolutely obvious. The decisions that you've taken have damaged and further damages Clonmel and Cahir, and it continues the absolute serious damage done to the town of Clonmel during the course of the last government. The decisions you have taken are unbalanced. The moving of Cahir to Tipperary and Cashel is completely without justification in my view. There's no connection between the 2 areas. Cahir was always related to Clonmel, and indeed the only adequate way to represent towns, Minister, is to re-establish boroughs and town councils, and you should do that immediately. Thank you.
I wish you well. Your eye definitely wasn't on the ball. Are the officials that designed the new area, including Tipperary, Cashel and Cahir, and left out the name of Tipperary, the brand name, they shouldn't be getting paid by any department because they're so disconnected to the name, brand name Tipperary, which are trying to market all over the country. But this is an outright attack, Minister. Nothing short of it. A Fine Gael attack. And you did come to Clonmel and we met you and you saw the resistance there. So Tipperary County Council voted overwhelmingly to oppose this at their most recent meeting. But when you went on to Tipperary, what did you get? You got a lovely gift of, I hope it's Tipperary crystal anyway, from your Fine Gael colleague, Councillor Michael Fitzgerald of Cahill. Outrage, nothing short of a bribe, is all that was. This is, well, I don't mean a bribe, but...
You don't mean that, you don't mean
No, I don't mean a bribe, but a nice little jolly present. Maybe it's not a wedding, maybe I'm wrong. But nonetheless, Minister, it's not a laughing matter. This is doing total damage to the town of Clonmel, a proud town, a proud history. As I said, we kept Cromwell out of it, and we can't keep Fine Gael from destroying it. The Army Barracks, St Michael's Hospital, you name it, VEC, loss of all the service to the County Council. Have you given any consideration to the staff in the County Council and the outdoor staff and indeed engineering staff who have to try and manage this and won't be able to manage it? And the loss of revenue to the Clonmel town because of the lack of the roads that have gone from Cahir into Tipperary? None.
Okay. On the issue of Clonmel being attached to Cahir, it was always in my time in local government, Clonmel and Cahir were always two separate districts. I do understand, and I fully accept the geographical issue, that Cahir, there are difficulties in getting from Cahir to Cashel, and because of natural boundaries that exist in that part of the world. But the understanding from Deputy Healy that there have always been a connection, there hasn't at all. The connection was established in the last review, which put Cahir and Clonmel into the same district. It was up to Tipperary County Council to read the terms of reference and make a submission accordingly. I completely refute, and in fact it was at the behest of local authority members as well as some members of this House, that the former borough towns themselves would have a separate municipal district, with a view to giving them extra status. The idea that this reduces the status of Clonmel, I'm only answering the question, the idea that this reduces the status of Clonmel bears no resemblance to the truth. Deputy McGrath asked the question who gives me the right. The designation of municipal districts is a ministerial function. It's not a function of any electoral boundary review, because municipal districts are not electoral boundaries in and of themselves, they're administrative boundaries. But I want to state to the people in Clonmel, there will be no loss of funding per head to the citizens. There is not. And the dishonest argument of the two deputies, in other words, completely dishonest to suggest that the money that's allocated for Cahir is somehow money for Clonmel. It isn't. The funding centrally will not be adversely affected for Clonmel. It will receive the same, and if not increased funding into the future as the local government fund. Well, that's the truth. And both deputies are making some valid points. But there's a central dishonesty if you believe that this is going to reduce, because it is not going to reduce. It's going to place extra emphasis on having a separate and distinct municipal district of Clonmel.
Please.